A meteor came crashing down to Earth today, triggered a fireball over Russia.
At least 26 people have been killed and 18 people are missing.
Some things are so extraordinary and unbelievable that if they were not caught on camera, nobody would believe that they actually happened or exist. From a meteor explosion that almost wiped out an entire city, to a disaster that claimed the lives of over 100 people, to a portal to another dimension, these all happened in Russian, and they have been captured. Join us as we uncover what cameras captured in Russia that terrified the whole world. Meteor Explosion. Dashvams captured something truly out of this world, visiting the Russian city of Chelyabinsk on February 15, 2013. The bad part was that it wasn't something good. Residents of the city witnessed something that only a few humans have ever witnessed: an asteroid exploding in the atmosphere. The event was well documented and preserved, almost by accident. At that time, dashboard cameras were very popular in Russia, and many of these cameras captured video recordings of the meteor, the streak of light across the sky, and the great flash that came when the asteroid exploded. The asteroid responsible for this event was about 20 meters in diameter and entered the atmosphere at a relatively shallow angle with a speed of about 19 kilometers per second. When it hit the Earth's atmosphere, it began to burn up and exploded about 30 kilometers above the surface. A bright flash, brighter than the sun, followed the explosion, and there was a shock wave that is estimated to have released the same amount of energy as 500 kilotons of TNT, around 30 times more energy than the atomic bomb detonated at Hiroshima. However, the people were lucky because the explosion happened high enough off the ground that its destructive energy was mostly absorbed into the atmosphere. If the explosion had happened any lower, or worse, if the asteroid had hit the ground with its full force, the damage could have been unlike anything in human history. It definitely would have been one of the greatest destructions, if not the actual greatest, in the history of mankind. However, an explosion of that magnitude cannot be without consequences. The shockwave traveled through the atmosphere and still reached the ground, damaging about 7,200 buildings across 6 cities and causing 1,500 people to land at the local hospitals and clinics with injuries. The funniest thing was that most of the injuries were caused by curiosity. People saw the bright flash and went to their windows to look outside. The shockwave, traveling at a slower speed, arrived later and shattered the windows, injuring people with flying glass. Only then did terror begin to spread, and people began to panic. The most unsettling thing about the meteor explosion was that it was unexpected. Nobody saw it coming. The asteroid was detected when it was already breaking through Earth's atmosphere. It was undetected largely because it came from the sun's direction and was hidden by its glare. But the most terrifying thing about that day was that while people were yet to recover from the explosion's shock, another asteroid had been predicted to approach Earth closely later that same day. If you think the asteroid is the only terrifying thing captured on camera, then you're wrong. At least there was no record of death, even though the people were given the scare of their lives. However, some people found themselves hopeless aboard a ship, which was also captured on camera. KSK Marine Disaster. In August 2000, 118 people were on a weekend naval exercise inside the Arctic Circle. The Russian nuclear submarine Kursk, an Oscar II-class submarine built in 1994 that was very active at the time, sank to the bottom of the Barents Sea with all hands on board. Every single member of the 118-strong crew perished on the vessel. Some people suspected the reason for the sinking to be radiation leaks, but according to the Russian Navy, it had not been carrying nuclear warheads, so there was never a danger of radiation leaks. On the following day, a desperate Russian rescue operation ensued, in which other great countries, including Britain, offered their assistance, but they still failed to establish radio communication with the stricken vessel. As such, they could not gain access to save the crew, much less save them. Mini submarines were sent to try and open the hatch, but they all failed repeatedly. The icy waters, stormy weather, and poor underwater visibility greatly affected even the rescuers' efforts. Still, they were also slow to arrive at the scene initially. It has been suggested that some of the submarine's crew might have been rescued had the response been swifter, given that the Kursk had sunk to the seafloor relatively close to the surface. Likely, this is the first time anyone will ever know exactly what caused the disaster. The official Russian inquiry concluded that a torpedo explosion was likely the cause, but that was a mere speculation. After a while, the Russians admitted that the liquid fuel they had been using in their missiles was known to be unstable in certain conditions. Therefore, it was possible that as the captain struggled to bring the submarine to the surface, there was a second and much bigger explosion, which was most likely from the fuel of another warhead, which tore a hole in the bow and probably killed most of the crew instantly. The tragedy didn't stop at the instant killing, because despite the deadly explosions, at least 23 crew members were known to have survived, only for them to end up dying of carbon monoxide poisoning as the vessel's oxygen ran out. Russian and Norwegian divers were able to recover 4 of their bodies on breaching the hull a month and a half after the incident. Unsurprisingly, the members of the public did not react favorably to how Russian authorities handled the disaster. Their reactions were hostile, with victims' families branding the official inquiry a whitewash. Some blamed an incompetent and inexperienced crew and inadequate oversight for the mishandling of a torpedo. Vladimir Putin, who had taken over as president of Russia from Boris Yeltsin at the start of that year, was on holiday and did not return immediately to Moscow. 9 days passed before he visited the rescue site. Thus, how he handled his first major crisis while in office was widely criticized for its inadequacy and the obvious lack of sensitivity. Another person widely criticized for the disaster was the Northern Fleet commander because of the Russian Navy's delayed response. One Navy captured on camera that made people jump out of their seats in terror was the bombing of a passenger train that claimed many lives. Nevsky Express bombing. The elite passenger train was carrying hundreds of people from Moscow to St. Petersburg when tragedy struck, and the train was derailed by a bomb attack that left dozens dead and about 100 people injured. The attack occurred about 400 kilometers northwest of the nation's capital, Moscow, in a forest where the very same train, the Nevsky Express, popular with tourists and commuters, had been hit by a similar bomb attack in August 2007. So this was a second bomb attack on the same train. According to Vladimir Markin, spokesman for the Federal Investigative Committee, it was indeed discovered to be a terrorist attack. The committee had said that it had recovered bomb fragments at the scene of the derailment. It turned out that an improvised explosive device with a force of around 7 kilograms of TNT was detonated on the train. Markin also said that evidence found at the scene suggested that what was detonated along the train's path was an explosive device. The train was a wreck after the hit. Overturned and mangled carriages were strewn across the tracks and down the railway embankment as scores of rescuers in orange vests searched tirelessly throughout the day for more victims in the wreckage and worked to repair the railway line. The victims of the bombing were the elites of society as well as tourists, because the Nevsky Express tickets were simply too expensive for most ordinary Russians. As such, the train, which was the fastest way to travel from central Moscow to central St. Petersburg, was used mostly by middle-class or wealthy Russians, as well as foreign tourists. Some witnesses, including passengers on the train who had been lucky enough not to be caught in the explosion and locals living near the site, said they heard a very loud bang just before the train went off the rails, and according to the police, there was a large crater under the track at the site of the explosion. Even though many people had died from the explosion and many more were hospitalized, there was no immediate credible claim of responsibility for the attack. President Medvedev instructed several law enforcement agencies to thoroughly investigate the train attack and assist people affected by it. He wanted to ensure no chaos because the situation was already tense. In a meeting later with a government commission specially formed to manage the disaster, President Medvedev expressed condolences for the victims' families and stood for a moment of silence. The hearts of people sank even more when official reports came in, notifying them that 26 people had been killed and 96 others injured and hospitalized. The Emergencies Ministry said 18 passengers were still unaccounted for, but Minister Sergei Shoigu said this did not mean they were dead, only that they could not immediately be located. But even that did not diminish the possibility of them being dead, and so, his assurances were no consolation at all. According to Andrei Abramenko, a police officer who also happened to be traveling on the train, wagons were completely overturned, and several people were completely crushed under the metal. The screams were deafening. At least 3 foreigners were on the train. Other reports said 1 Italian and 2 Finns were among the passengers. The White House expressed condolences, saying that it was deeply saddened by the terrible loss of life and injuries from the incident. According to the European Union, the incident lamented the tragic loss of lives in the disaster, and it supported Russia in its efforts to bring clarity to the causes of this tragic event. If this overly tragic incident hadn't been captured on camera, it would have been very hard to believe, but something else was found in a Russian mine, which was equally hard to understand. Monster mummy in Siberia. You probably have heard of mummies, and they are well-preserved corpses of important people in Egypt. A mummy is extremely scary because it's an undead. While some Russian miners were at work as usual, they found something that left them scratching their heads about this strange thing. What is a corpse? Yes. What kind of corpse? No one knows. Pulled from the icy ground at a diamond mine in Siberia, it looks like a creature from another world that accidentally found its way to the Earth's atmosphere and eventually ended up in Russia. The mummified remains of the corpse, which appeared to be a carnivorous mammal, were discovered encased in the sandy sediment at the diamond mine in Udakhny, 1,160 miles northwest of Yakutsk in Russia. The miners who found the very strange creature were completely baffled by it. Since they could not make heads or tails of it, they described it as a monster mummy. Monster, because it was the remains of an animal never seen before. When the creature was made public, what immediately came to mind was the fictitious resurrection of dinosaurs captured people's imaginations at the cinema. But it seemed that the quest to bring the extinct woolly mammoth back to life had begun in real life. An international team of scientists claimed that they have reached the initial stage in efforts to clone the beast, which last traversed the Earth 10,000 years ago. However, experts believe the monster mummy may be a fox, pine marten, or an otter. The discovery also sparked some wild claims among locals. Some believe the creature was some kind of new dinosaur species. But some people disagreed with that speculation because the creature has a long spine, paws, and a mixture of canine and molar teeth, together with tufts of fur. So the creature is more likely to be a mammal that became preserved in the sands. Other theories have suggested it could be a wolverine, a small dog, or a fox. The mysterious animal is due to be taken from Udakhny, which means lucky, to Yakutsk for examination by scientists. Theorists will continue to develop their theories until the exact nature of the creature is known. Some have already come up with the idea that it was most likely an alien from another planet. Speaking of aliens, what did cameras capture in Mexico that has also sparked wild speculation? Extraterrestrial life, alien corpses. Did you know that the search for extraterrestrial life has been intensified lately? 2023 has just passed, and it has been a very significant year for alien hunters who have been unrelenting in their efforts to find evidence of extraterrestrial life. 2023 witnesses a lot of things about aliens. From some studies suggesting that aliens are likely to have been sending signals to Harvard professor Avi Loeb, claiming that an unidentified space object had crashed into the Pacific Ocean, The year saw scientists trying to gather even the tiniest of proofs hint at the existence of aliens. What seemed to be a breakthrough was a claim made by the United States to have UFOs and non-human bodies. The more serious matter was that the Mexico Congress displayed 2 alleged alien corpses, which sparked debates around the existence of extraterrestrial living beings. Suppose the debate about aliens had been wanted before, not anymore. The sudden arrival of these alien corpses has led scientists and space researchers to do more rigorous research. The whole tale about the existence of aliens and whether the US indeed has UFOs in its possession took a rather peculiar turn when the 2 alien corpses were put on display in Mexico Congress in an unusual event, while the world wondered what these were. The fact that Congress did the display shows how serious alien study has become. The corpses were said to have been retrieved from Cusco, Peru, and according to scientific estimates, they are said to have been fossilized nearly 1,000 years ago. Jamie Maussan, a UFO expert who presented the corpses in windowed boxes, said the specimens are not part of our terrestrial evolution. They are not beings that were found after wreckage, but were found in diatom mines and were later fossilized. He further informed Congress that they had tested the DNA samples of the 2 corpses' DNA samples and compared them to other samples, after which it was found that nearly 30% of their DNA specimen was unknown. In the X-rays of the alien corpses, eggs were also seen present inside one of the bodies, which also had rare metal implants. It was also claimed that corpses did not have any lungs or ribs. All these seem to bring us closer to getting an answer as to the existence or not of aliens. However, the renowned organization that is so much until the study of Mars, NASA, has decided to remain neutral on the matter since they do not scientifically test the samples. They asked the Mexican government to hand them over the specimen so that they could study it and ascertain if it had links to extraterrestrial beings. Even though scientists, space researchers, and alien hunters moved with great speed and had significant breakthroughs in 2023 and seem to have gotten closer to solving curiosities around alien life, many more questions remain unresolved, and hopefully, they'll find breakthroughs in 2024. While we're still talking about space, you will not believe what a Russian boy said about himself and the kind of stories he tells. It's creepy. The Russian boy from Mars. Boriska Kiprianovich is a Russian boy, but what he claims to be is something beyond imagination. The boy claimed to be a Martian, meaning he is from Mars and was reborn on Earth to begin a new life cycle. The boy expressed many thoughts about the red planet Mars and the vast space. The boy first began to display astronomical knowledge back in 2017, when he was only 11 years old. These were not things an 11-year-old should know, and so when people saw him on TV saying things about Mars, they were creeped out. Boriska said that he is a Martian turned human. He claimed that his race had disappeared from the face of Mars due to a nuclear war that took place about 1,000 years ago. He's not Jay, just a Martian, but a Martian from 1,000 years ago. But he said something else that left people terror-stricken. According to him, numerous clues point to the fact that the same nuclear war that wiped out his race would happen on Earth and wipe out humans. And what's worse, it may happen very soon. To prevent humans from going extinct, he explained that he had been sent to relay a warning to the Earth's citizens. The main interest of the boy upon his arrival was to save the fate of humanity from the unfortunate disaster that happened to his people. This has caused people to subconsciously think that the end time is imminent. Otherwise, why would an 11-year-old boy know these things? According to Boriska, he still remembers the exact events that happened when he was still a Martian pilot. From how everything went disastrous with the unleashing of the apocalyptic nuclear war between 2 factions of the Red Planet, to the travel he had gone through from Mars to Earth. According to a report, Boriska said that there are still a few of his species that survived the extinction, and they are in the process of reconstructing the architecture of the planet, as well as building new kinds of advanced weapons. all for defense. He mentioned that many of the Martians live up to 35 years and maintain their physical features until they die. He was a man, then a boy. According to his mom, the man boy is a genius child. When he was just 2 weeks old, he held his head up without any support. The doctor also claimed that he started speaking after only a few months, and then he could read, draw, and paint when he was only 1.5 years old. When he started nursery school, his teachers were surprised at his incredible writing, language talents, and memory. What the take of Boriska tells us is something that very few people, mostly science hopefuls, believe, and that's the possibility of life on Mars. So far, we've been focused on terrifying things that cameras have captured in Russia, but there is one terrifying thing that a dashboard camera captured that has left people both shocked and confused. This happened in Geneva, Switzerland. Terrifying portal in the sky. If this weren't caught on camera, perhaps not a single one would believe it. An interesting but complicated event took place in the area above the Large Hadron Collider that left people confused and, at the same time, terrified. A bright portal appeared from nowhere, causing many people to tag it as a doorway to an uncharted realm. People who witnessed the phenomenon were shocked by its remarkable presence. The emergence of this mysterious yet captivating sight left many people in their imaginations wondering what implications the phenomenon might hold and what the state of the Earth would be afterward. With the emergence of the portal, scientists have been plunged into a heated debate and endless research regarding the meaning behind it. Theorists and enthusiasts alike have started waves of discussions spanning various fields of study just to understand the inexplicable sight. The spectators who were at the site and who saw the sight described how people were compelled to stop their cars by the side of the road to capture videos of this remarkable sight. The sight captured their attention so much that they could not resist capturing its essence on their devices. This remarkable object's truly intriguing characteristic is its ability to mesmerize people. Reports show a long-standing intriguing phenomenon where looking directly at an opening will cause the sky on the other end to disappear. This particular occurrence has captured the curiosity of many observers. Many people have stepped forward to air their views and recount personal encounters. The phenomenon has sparked widespread interest, and the internet is curious. It is speculated that scientific occurrences have occurred in the area, and this enigmatic phenomenon is the result of such experiments. This suggestion implies that the phenomenon is not a random occurrence, but a result of deliberate scientific exploration and investigation conducted in the area. If scientific experiments were carried out in the nocturnal hours, it would be challenging to understand the actions of the scientists responsible for them. However, speculations about the manifestation of this phenomenon continue to get interesting. It has taken a remarkable and rather unique turn as people began to give accounts of strange objects coming out of the portal. Multiple folds have increased curiosity as it delves into the uncharted world of the unknown. One of the eyewitnesses recounted that he saw two perfectly round things coming out of the portal that left him dumbfounded. Another thing that adds to the fascination and further increases curiosity by another notch is that these objects were not only seen, but were also captured on video, serving as additional evidence to back up the claims of eyewitnesses. This unusual occurrence has perplexed individuals to search for answers and possible explanations for these bizarre events, which surprised everyone. It is a widely known fact of history that orbs, which are glowing spheres, are associated with strange phenomena, and their accounts can be traced back to many centuries ago. Many eyewitnesses have provided testimonies with evidence claiming that these strange objects showed signs of being controlled. The abilities of the objects are also remarkable in that they can navigate through space with high agility, travel at extremely high speeds, and even vanish from sight. These special and uncanny abilities lead people to think that the objects are not a result of any natural occurrence, but rather are being intentionally directed. The captivating insight provided by these observations triggers even more curiosity concerning the essence of these unidentified objects and the entire phenomenon. The orbs have been documented through webcams, and the frequency of their sightings has intrigued experts in the field. Also, these orbs have gained quite a reputation for their elusive nature when people attempt to capture them on camera, as they only appear in brilliant sparks of light in photographs. The scientific community has plunged into extensive research to discern the true nature of these phenomena. The appearance of this portal, which a dashboard camera accurately captured, has left an uneasy feeling in people. People fear what they don't understand. These events captured on camera are truly terrifying, and some of them are capable of keeping people on the edge of their seats. What are your thoughts about these terrifying events and objects captured on camera? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe to see more videos.